Welcome to Spiritual Calisthenics. Christ is in our midst. And March 12th, we commemorate St. Theophanes the Confessor, St. Symeon the New Theologian, St. Gregory Dialogos, Bishop of Rome, and St. Phineas, grandson of the prophet Aaron. Regarding St. Theophanes, Theophanes was born in 760, was the son of illustrious parents. Assenting to their demand, he married and became a member of the emperor's ceremonial bodyguard. Later, with the consent of his wife, he forsook the world. Indeed, both of them embraced the monastic life, struggling in the monastic houses they themselves had established. He died on March 12, 815, on the island of Samothrace, whereto, because of his confession of the Orthodox faith, he has been exiled by Leo the Armenian, the iconoclast emperor. The image of God was faithfully preserved in you, O Father, for you took up the cross and followed Christ. By your actions you taught us to look beyond the flesh as it passes, rather to be concerned about the soul which is immortal. Wherefore, O holy Theophanes, your soul rejoices with the angels. Regarding St. Symeon the New Theologian, of which there are very few saints that had that term theologian. St. Symeon became a monk of the Studite monastery as a young man, under the guidance of the elder Symeon the Pious. Afterwards he struggled at the monastery of St. Mamas in Constantinople, of which he became abbot. After enduring many trials and afflictions in his life of piety, he reposed in 1022. Marveling at the heights of prayer and holiness of which he attained, and the loftiness of the teachings of his life and writings, the Church calls him the New Theologian. Only two others, John the Evangelist and Gregory, Patriarch of Constantinople, has the Church given the name Theologian. St. Symeon reposed on March 12th, but since this always falls in the Great Fast, his feast is kept on October 12th. Since you had received within your pure soul God's enlightenment, O righteous Father, you were shown to the world a blazing light, which brave away the thick darkness and moved all men to seek the grace of the Spirit which they had lost. While Holy Father Symeon, intercede with him to grant great mercy to us, honor you. Regarding St. Gregory Dialogos, the Bishop of Rome, St. Gregory was born in Rome to noble and wealthy parents about the year 540. While the saint was still young, his father died. However, his mother, Sylvia, saw to it that her child received a good education in both secular and spiritual learning. He became prefect of Rome and sought to please God even while in the world. Later, he took up the monastic life. Afterwards, he was appointed Archdeacon of Rome. Then, in 579, Bocarisarius, representative papal legate to Constantinople, where he lived for nearly 7 years. He returned to Rome in 585 and was elected pope in 590. He is renowned especially for his writings and great almsgiving, and also because, on his initiative, missionary work began among the Anglo-Saxon people. It is also from him that Gregorian chant takes its name. The chanting he had heard at Constantinople had deeply impressed him, and he imported many elements of it into ecclesiastical chant of Rome. He served as bishop of that city from 590 to 604. A model of faith in the image of gentleness, the example of your life has shown you forth as your sheepfold to be a master of temperance. You obtained thus through being lowly gifts from on high, and riches through poverty. Gregory, our Father, priest to priest, intercede with Christ our God, that he may save our souls. Now this, of course, is very, very important because Gregorian chant is the antecedent to classical music. And classical music, as we trace down, goes all the way to pop music today because there are developments of those things. And of course, Gregory received his understanding of music from the Byzantine East, from Byzantine chant. And Byzantine chant takes its lessons from the chanting of the angels. And so angelic choirs literally impacted how all music today came to be. From the prophecy of Isaiah.
But the Lord of hosts is exalted in justice, and the holy God shows himself holy in righteousness. Then shall the lambs graze as in their pasture, fatlings and kids shall feed among the ruins. Woe to those who draw iniquity with cords of falsehood, who draw sin as with cart ropes, who say, Let him make haste, let him speed his work, that we may see it. Let the purpose of the Holy One of Israel draw near, and let it come, that we may know it. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness, who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Woe to those who are wise in their own eyes, and shrewd in their own sight. Woe to those who are heroes at drinking wine, and valiant men in mixing strong drink, who acquit the guilty for a bribe, and deprive the innocent of his right. Therefore, as the tongue of fire devours the stubble, and as dry grass sinks down in the flame, so their root will be as rottenness, and their blossom go up like dust. For they have rejected the law of the Lord of hosts, and have despised the word of the Holy One of Israel. Therefore the anger of the Lord was kindled against his people, and he stretched out his hand against them, and smote them. And the mountains quaked, and their corpses were as refuse in the midst of the streets. For all this his anger is not turned away, and his hand is stretched out still.
We see again within the prophecy of Isaiah that the Lord is going to bring ruin to those who are haughty upon the earth, who do falsehoods and lying, and everything is bitter as a result. And so we see that the Lord, who is our righteous God, who loves us, is also a righteous God of judgment, and his judgment is coming. From the book of Genesis.
Then Cain went away from the presence of the Lord, and dwelt in the land of Nod, east of Eden.
Some that interpret the land of Nod as the place of demons.
Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bore Enoch. And he built a city, and called the name of the city after the name of his son Enoch. To Enoch was born Irad, and Irad was the father of Mehujael, and Mehujael the father of Methushael, and Methushael the father of Lamech. And Lamech took 2 wives. The name of the one was Ada, and the name of the other Zillah. Ada bore Jabal. He was the father of those who dwell in tents and have cattle. His brother's name was Jubal. He was the father of all those who play the lyre and pipe. Zillah bore Tubal-Cain. He was the forger of all instruments of bronze and iron. The sister of Tubal-Cain was Naamah. Lamech said to his wives, Ada and Zillah, hear my voice. You wives of Lamech, hearken to what I say. I have slain a man for wounding me, a young man for striking me. If Cain is avenged 7-fold, truly Lamech 77-fold.
So once again, we see that the offspring of Cain are children of sin and iniquity and arrogance.
And Adam knew his wife again, and she bore a son and called his name Seth. For she said, God has appointed for me another child instead of Abel, for Cain slew him. To Seth also a son was born, and he called his name Enosh. At that time men began to call upon the name of the Lord.
So from the time of Enosh, we see people begin to pray to God, which is what we are supposed to do. From the book of Proverbs.
Drink water from your own cistern, flowing water from your own well. Should your springs be scattered abroad, streams of water in the streets? Let them be for yourself alone, and not for strangers with you. Let your fountain be blessed, and rejoice in the wife of your youth, a lovely hind, a graceful doe. Let her affection fill you at all times with delight. Be infatuated always with her love. Why should you be infatuated, my son, with a loose woman, and embrace the bosom of an adventuress? For a man's ways are before the eyes of the Lord, and he watches all his paths. The iniquities of the wicked ensnare him, and he is caught in the toils of his sin. He dies for lack of discipline, and because of his great folly he is lost. My son, if you have become surety for your neighbor, have given your pledge for a stranger, if you are snared in the utterance of your lips, caught in the words of your mouth, then do this, my son, and save yourself, for you have come into your neighbor's power. Go, hasten, and importune your neighbor.
I hope that you've enjoyed today's Spiritual Calisthenics. Have a blessed and wonderful day.